A casino banned a man for losing too much money. Steve Wynn looked at one gambler and decided he was a liability, not a customer. Banned him for life. The casino across the street made the opposite call. They sent a private jet, a penthouse, a credit line of over $17 million. By the end of that year, they'd taken $127 million off the same man, over 5% of everything that casino made in Las Vegas, from one customer. November 2007. 2 casinos, 1 gambler, 2 opposite decisions. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which casino was right. Start with the only question that actually matters. Where does the money come from? Every game on that floor is mathematically rigged. Not in a cheating sense, the cards are real, the wheel is honest, and the dice are clean. It's the rules that are built against you. The structure of every single game guarantees the casino wins more than the player, over time, always. The industry calls this the house edge. The easiest way to picture it. You and I flip a coin. Heads, you win $1. Tails, I win $1. That's a fair bet, 0 edge. Now I change one rule. Heads still pays you $1, but tails, I take $1 and a dime. Same coin, same flip, same everything. Except now, on average, I keep 5 cents every time we play. Boring on one flip. Catastrophic, over $1 million. Every casino game is just a different version of that same trick. Roulette is the cleanest example. European roulette has 37 numbers. You bet $100 on a single number and win. The casino pays you $3,500. But the real odds of hitting that number are 36 to 1. You should have been paid $3,600. That missing $100 is the house's cut every single time. Multiply it by 1,000 players a day, every day, for 30 years. American roulette runs the same game, except it adds one extra slot, the double zero. One pocket, that one change doubled the house edge from 2.7% to 5.26%. The player at the table cannot tell the difference. The math notices every single time. But roulette isn't where the real money lives. Slot machines run a house edge of 5 to 15%. And here's the part that breaks most people's brains: the cheaper the machine, the higher the edge. Penny slots, the ones a grandmother feeds change into all afternoon, are running 12 to 15%. Per dollar wagered, she is statistically the most profitable customer in the entire building. She's giving the casino 30 times more than the millionaire playing blackjack in the high limit room, where the edge drops to 0.5%. That's why every Vegas Strip casino floor opens with a sea of slot machines. In 2024, slots alone brought in $4.9 billion on the Strip, more than every table game combined. The math is the most reliable revenue engine in the history of business. A bakery doesn't know how many croissants it'll sell tomorrow. A casino knows almost exactly how much its slot machines will hold this year, give or take a few percent. No other industry on earth has that. And yet casino operators go bankrupt at rates that would embarrass a tech startup. The math is airtight. Everything built on top of it isn't. That's the whole story. But to understand why, you need to understand what a casino does with you between the moment you walk in and the moment you finally leave. Here's something most people miss about casino design. The no windows, no clocks thing is real, but it's the least interesting part of what's happening to you inside that building. The carpet patterns are engineered to push your eyes upward toward the machines. The walk from any table to the nearest exit deliberately passes 10 more rows of slots. Every inch of that floor exists for one reason: to keep you inside with no time reference until the math has had enough time to finish the job. The industry calls this engineered immersion. And it works. But the most surgical customer retention system ever built in any industry isn't the carpet, the lights, or even the free drinks. It's a small piece of plastic. The player's club card. You walk in and they hand you one for free. You insert it into the slot machine, hand it to the dealer, and from that moment on, every single bet you make is tracked. From that data, they calculate something called your theoretical loss. Bet $10,000 over an evening at a 5% house edge, your theoretical loss is $500. The casino then gives you back 5 to 10% of that number. Free dinner, free room, free drink at the bar. In 2024, Vegas Strip casinos gave away $4.4 billion in comps. They didn't lose that money, they invested it. Every comp is a calculated expense to keep you in the building, so the math has more time to run. And at the very top of this pyramid sit the whales. Roughly 1% of all casino customers account for over 25% of total revenue. 1 in 1,000 customers generates a quarter of the entire industry's money. Dana White, UF's president and someone who knows exactly what high-stakes competition looks like, plays $25,000 a hand at blackjack, won $2 million one weekend at the Palms, came back, won another $1.6 million. The Palms banned him. Caesars and Bellagio still let him play. Because the math always wins eventually. The whale always comes back. And when he does, he brings back far more than he took. That's why a casino will fly a whale on a private jet from anywhere in the world. Give them the penthouse for free. Send a private chef to their suite. Spending $500, $000 to host one whale for a weekend is completely rational business when their expected loss is $10 million. The whole model in one sentence: house edge, multiplied by volume, multiplied by time, multiplied by repeat visits. Every single thing in that building exists to push one of those 4 numbers higher. So, guaranteed math. Billions in revenue. Customers are literally engineered to lose. Why do casino owners ever lose money themselves? The short answer: everything else. Out of every dollar of gaming revenue, about 70 to 80 cents is gone before you see anything. A typical strip casino runs on a 25 to 33% net margin. Out of $1 billion in revenue, you keep $250 to $330 million. The rest disappears. About a third goes to payroll. A strip resort employs 3,000 to 8,000 people. Then come the taxes, and this is where geography decides your fate. Nevada is the most generous major market on Earth, 6.75% of gaming revenue. Macau takes 40% off the top. Pennsylvania hits slots at over 50%. The same casino, the same machines, and the same house edge running in Pennsylvania instead of Nevada costs you nearly half your gross before you've paid a single salary. And then there's the category of costs that only exists because you're running a casino. A Vegas property has more cameras per square meter than most prisons. Every table, every cashier, and every parking spot runs 24-hour surveillance, managed by a department that does nothing else and exists entirely because the moment that department blinks, someone is counting cards, marking chips, or walking out with money that isn't theirs. Cards get swapped fresh onto every table every 4 to 8 hours to prevent marking. That adds up to millions of brand new decks thrown in the trash every single year. The Bellagio keeps over $150 million in physical cash inside the building at all times. The insurance and logistics on that cash alone cost millions annually. Then there are the drinks. The casino pours out money by the tens of thousands every day, not out of generosity, but because a slightly drunk gambler bets bigger and stays longer. Drunk gamblers also fall, fight, and lose money. They become convinced it must be someone else's fault, which is why casinos get sued more often than most hospitals and pay liability premiums that climb every year. Regardless of what happens on the floor, the math gives you a guaranteed top line. Everything below it is a fist fight. We're breaking down the full cost structure of a casino floor surveillance, staffing, cash logistics, and liability in a separate deep dive. Subscribe so you don't miss it. That fist fight is where most casino owners lose. And when you look at every major casino failure in modern history, almost all of them collapse for one of 2 reasons. Mistake one too much debt, 1990. Donald Trump opens the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City and calls it the 8th wonder of the world. He financed it with $675 million in junk bonds at 14% interest, just to service that debt before staff, before taxes. Before a single light bulb, the casino had to generate nearly $100 million a year from the day it opened. No casino is perfect from day one. The Taj needed to be perfect from day one. 6 months after opening, it missed its first bond payment. By 1991, bankruptcy. The math on the floor was fine. The math on the loan was a death sentence signed before the doors ever opened. Mistake 2, wrong product for the wrong market, 2012. A $2.4 billion property called Revel opens in Atlantic City, built for Wall Street executives instead of the bus trip retirees who had been coming to Atlantic City for 30 years. They banned smoking on the gaming floor, no buffet, no players club. In the gambling world, that's roughly like opening a gym and banning sweat. The hedge fund crowd never showed up. The retirees they'd spent decades building loyalty with never came back. Revel closed 2 years later, sold for $82 million 3 cents on the dollar. 2016, Lucky Dragon opens off the Vegas Strip, a $160 million boutique casino built entirely for Asian high rollers. Asian language signage throughout, feng shui interiors. No fourth floor considered unlucky in Chinese culture. Every detail considered, every box checked, except one. The Asian high rollers who flew to Las Vegas wanted Las Vegas. The fountains, the spectacle, the excess. Not a smaller, quieter version of what they'd left at home. Lucky Dragon closed 14 months after opening, sold for $36 million 22 cents on the dollar. The mathematical edge is bulletproof. Everything you build on top of it isn't. Which brings us back to Caesars, back to Apollo and TPG, back to $18.4 billion loaded onto a company that was already printing money every single day. Here's what that debt actually meant in practice. Caesars needed to generate enough cash not to grow, not to renovate, just to service the interest, so every single operational variable had to go right every single year, with no room for a recession, a competitor opening nearby, or a global financial crisis. In 2008, they got all three at once. The slot machines ran through the entire bankruptcy. The house edge never failed. The business model never broke. The company collapsed from the outside in exactly the way Watanabe would have collapsed if Caesars hadn't decided he was worth the rope. Whoever holds the debt controls the outcome. In Watanabe's case, it was Caesars holding it over him. In Caesar's case, it was Apollo and TPG holding it over them. The math behind the games was irrelevant to both. Two scenarios, real numbers. Scenario 1, $5 million in Colorado, a small regional casino. Annual gaming revenue is around $10 million. After all operational costs, the real profit is roughly $2 million a year. Payback in 3 years. Not glamorous. Recession resistant. The most boring American business with the word casino in it, and statistically, the safest version of this bet you can make. Scenario 2, $1 billion on the Las Vegas Strip. A full resort. 2,000 hotel rooms. 100 tables, 3,000 slot machines. Annual revenue is around $900 million. And here's the part most people miss: only a third of that comes from gambling. The other 2/3 are hotel rooms, restaurants, shows, and conventions. A modern strip casino is barely a casino. It's a resort that uses gambling as the loss leader to pull people through the door and keeps them spending across every other department once they're inside. Net profit after everything, $250 million a year. Optimized, closer to $300 million. Payback in 4 years. Then you're running a machine that prints $300 million annually as long as nothing outside the math goes wrong. That last clause is the entire bet. Sheldon Adelson understood something that most casino operators before him didn't, and it wasn't the house edge. Everyone understands the house edge. What Adelson understood was that the real risk was never on the floor. In 2002, when every major operator looked at Macau and saw political risk, regulatory uncertainty, and a market they didn't control, Adelson saw the largest concentration of gambling money on Earth sitting 40 miles from Hong Kong with nowhere to go. He bet $240 million on the Sands Macau when the entire industry thought he was wrong. He opened it in 2004. The queues on opening day ran around the block. He then did the same thing in Singapore. Then built Marina Bay Sands, the convention-integrated resort model that made his properties almost recession-proof by tying revenue to business travel, not just gambling. By the time he died in 2021, Las Vegas Sands made around $32 million in revenue every single day. His personal fortune was $35 billion. Plenty of men with the same playbook lost everything instead. The difference wasn't the math. The math is identical for all of them. The difference was what they built on top of it and how much they borrowed to build it. The house always wins on the felt. That part is guaranteed. It has never once been the problem. The loan is a different game entirely, same building, different table, and the house doesn't always win that one. Watanabe walked into Caesars with borrowed money and lost $127 million. Caesars borrowed $18.4 billion and lost the company. Two men, same weapon. Neither one of them was holding it the right way. The question was never how much a casino makes. The question was always which side of the table you end up on. If you want to see what happens when an entire city makes that second bet at once, not one casino, all of them, the same year, that's the next video. Subscribe before it drops. The city in question lost everything. The story is one of the most brutal financial collapses in modern history, and almost nobody outside that country knows it happened.